It is my singular honor and privilege to join you today for the first national event on sensitization and rollout of a 2030 agenda on sustainable development in Ethiopia. Today's workshop embodies the strong partnership and joint vision of the National Planning Commission and the United Nations country team in placing Ethiopia on a pathway to sustainable development and ensuring that no one is left behind. In recognizing that the success of the 2030 agenda and the SDGs depends very much on inclusive partnerships and broad-based collaboration of all stakeholders, today's national event brings together a wide cross-section of key partners, including national and subnational representatives from the government, parliamentarians, development partners, from the development partners, civil society organizations, academia, and the private sector. The presence and participation of all of us here today will allow to discuss collectively some of the key dimensions in the rollout of the 2030 agenda, as well as our respective roles and responsibilities in ensuring the effective implementation of the SDGs in direct linkage with Ethiopia's Second Growth Transformation Plan, GTP2. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, last year, the UN concluded four landmark agreements, namely the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Addis Ababa Action Agenda on Financing the SDGs, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. The climate change document, which, as you know, has been signed only last week by a record number of countries signing a single agreement in a single day. The 2030 Agenda provides an overarching vision for these landmark agreements and a global framework upon which to anchor national strategies and policies to place the world on a path of sustainability. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which comprises 17 goals and 169 targets, is aiming at eradicating poverty and hunger, leaving no one behind. It commits stakeholders to work together to promote sustained and inclusive economic growth, social development, and environmental protection, and to benefit all, including women, children, youth, and future generations. Building on the achievements of the Millennium Development Goals, the task ahead of all of us, of all countries, including Ethiopia, is to proactively engage in mainstreaming, contextualizing, and domesticating the SDGs and their targets into national and subnational plans and strategies. The UN Development System, in close collaboration with all its partners, supports countries in implementing the SDGs by using so-called MAPS approach, which stands for mainstreaming, acceleration, and policy support. I'm happy to say that the MAPS approach, which requires strong national leadership, has already been effectively applied in Ethiopia in the formulation of a new United Nations Development Assistance Framework, UNDAF, for the period 2016-2020. Ensuring clear synergies of UN programming with the SDGs and the GTP2. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the agenda for our workshop today closely reflects three key imperatives which we as partners in our common quest towards achieving the SDGs need to prioritize. One, the imperative of mainstreaming the SDGs in national development plans and strategies. Ethiopia already has important lessons and experience in mainstreaming MDGs targets into the PASDET, GTP1, as well as regional plans with commendable results. Building on this experience, Ethiopia, sorry, my UNEPA creeps in. Ethiopia, with the support of the UNDESA and the UN, embarked at an early stage to integrate the Sustainable Development Goals into the Second Growth and Transformation Plan, GTP2. The proposed formulation of a 15 years perspective plan further presents an opportunity for the UN and partners to support the country in mainstreaming the Sustainable Development Goals and ensure that the plan is well aligned with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I would like to assure you that the UNCT's knowledge and resources, as well as are well positioned, to support this effort. The UNCT is well positioned to support the effort with our resources. The second imperative is to ensure that SDGs are prioritized, localized, and costed based on the country's context and development aspirations. Again, Ethiopia has vital lessons to offer in the localization as well as costing the MDGs, and this experience should be replicated in the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. The UN system is committed in the implementation of ESD. The UN system, is committed to support the government in concluding SDGs needs assessment, partnering to build the capacity of stakeholders in domestic resource mobilization, and to support awareness and sensitization of the SDGs across different regions in the country as part of a localization strategy. We need to take stock of the different arrays of funding the SDGs by considering all sources of financing as outlined in the Addis Ababa Action Agenda. Third is the imperative of fostering a coherent framework of monitoring, tracking, and reporting progress in the implementation of the SDGs. The UN and partners will support national effort towards strengthening the monitoring and evaluation system in the context of data revolution agenda. Efforts must be directed early on towards identifying nationally relevant indicators and targets, as well as establishing baseline data. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let me reiterate the strong collective commitment of the UN country team in supporting Ethiopia in the implementation of a 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I would like to highlight once more the critical importance of broad-based partnership in making the 2030 agenda a success. In this regard, today's National Multi-Stakeholder Workshop provides an excellent foundation for our close collaboration towards achieving the SDGs in Ethiopia. Let us work together to eradicate poverty by leaving no one behind. And let me use this opportunity before I end to correct a mistake I made. I think I gave a wrong number for the Speaker of the House. His Excellency Ato Yelu Abete, Speaker of the House. I'm sorry, I may have said something wrong, but I'll correct that by getting to know you a bit better in session. I'm Mr. Ganalo.